The air in the Kempinski rooftop bar, overlooking the shimmering lights of Accra, was thick with the scent of expensive cologne and ambition. Jayden Mensah, Ghana's youngest tech billionaire, leaned against the railing, his impeccable white linen suit reflecting his carefully curated image of detached success. He was the master of his domain, but life was about to deliver a cruel, silent ambush. A small tremor interrupted his contemplation as a child, perhaps 5 or 6, chased a runaway balloon. She collided momentarily with his knee, laughing as she retrieved her toy. Before her nanny could whisk her away, Jayden froze, his cocktail glass stealing halfway to his lips. He was staring at a patch of exposed skin just above the girl's right hip, where her tiny shirt had ridden up. There it was. A birthmark. Not just any mark, but a rare, crimson crescent, the precise, jagged shape he knew intimately, tattooed on his own right rib cage since birth, an ancient, genetically singular anomaly passed down through only the Mensah male line. His heart hammered a brutal rhythm against his ribs. The nanny pulled the little girl, who he would later learn was named Oma, toward a couple mingling nearby. Oma's mother, elegant and distant, didn't glance back. Jayden felt the world tilt. 6 years ago, there was a woman, a sudden, passionate fling before she vanished without a trace. He had always assumed the connection was severed forever. Now, standing on a peak of wealth, he stared at a ghost made real, the undeniable proof of a life hidden from him. This child was his. The gilded cage of his penthouse felt suffocating as Jayden paced, the crescent mark on his own skin burning with a phantom heat. He bypassed all formal channels and called Otto, his chief of personal security, demanding a full, untraceable dossier on the family from the Kempinski. The urgency in Jayden's voice was enough to make Otto cancel his flight to Kumasi immediately. The report arrived less than an hour later, a digital shard of glass slicing through Jayden's cool facade. The woman was Aisha Mensah, a name he recognized instantly, confirming the one-night connection from 6 years ago. The man, the supposed father, was Kwame Owusu, a shock so profound it made Jayden nearly drop his phone. Kwame wasn't just a business associate, he was the brilliant, meticulous lead architect entrusted with Jayden's multi-million-dollar Accra Future City project. Kwame was family in all but blood, a man who had attended Jayden's grandmother's funeral just last month. The dossiers confirmed that Kwame and Aisha were legally married, and Oma was registered under the Owusu name. The betrayal was staggering. Aisha hadn't merely run away, she had concealed their child right under his nose, placing her in the care of a man Jayden implicitly trusted, a man who profited directly from Jayden's wealth. A wave of possessive, righteous fury washed over him, eclipsing any other emotion. This was not just about a child, this was a calculated theft of his legacy, his heritage, hidden within the very walls of his empire. Jayden's goal was instantly crystallized. Oma would bear the Mensah name, and he would retrieve what was rightfully his. The rules of business acquisition now applied to fatherhood. Jayden summoned Kwame to his office on the 25th floor, bypassing the usual protocol of site visits. Kwame arrived carrying fresh blueprints, radiating pride in his meticulous designs for the Accra Future City centerpiece. Jayden didn't glance at the plans. He kept his gaze fixed on the architect's kind, trusting face, the mask of a thief Jayden was determined to tear off. The betrayer felt like a lead weight pressing down on his chest. Kwame, your foundation proposals are technically flawless, but they lack the innovative scope I demand, Jayden stated, his voice dangerously low and even. I need you to halt the groundbreaking immediately. We are bringing in an independent consultant to conduct a full, week-long review of the framework. Kwame's smile dissolved, replaced by a desperate confusion. A week. Jayden, that means penalties. My firm will bleed millions. I'll absorb the penalties, Jayden replied, a calculated lie that only reinforced Kwami's dependence. Jaden was willing to pay tenfold that price just to plant the seed of panic. This was the first, quiet seismic crack in Kwami's financial foundation. He watched Kwame struggle to regain composure, a display of misery that fed Jaden's possessive rage. Later that evening, Jaden executed the next move. He had a lavish, bespoke gift basket delivered to the Owusu residence, a calculated olive branch. Attached was a handwritten note, deceptively simple: "So sorry about the inconvenience, Kwame. I hope to come by soon and apologize to your beautiful wife, Aisha, in person. Perhaps I can finally meet little Oma, too. See you soon." Jaden knew the moment Aisha recognized his signature, she would realize the cage door was opening. Aisha found the mahogany gift basket on the marble foyer table, but her attention snagged immediately on the creamy envelope bearing Jaden's unmistakable, sprawling signature. Her hands trembled as she read the casual mention of her and Oma's names. He knew. Her 6-year-long, carefully constructed fortress of lies crumbled into dust. She quickly burned the note in an ornate ash tree before Kwame returned, his face a roadmap of anxiety. Kwame was distraught, recounting the crushing cost of the unexpected project delay. "Jaden is being completely unreasonable, Aisha. If we lose the Future City deal, my firm is finished. Everything we built is gone." Aisha swallowed her panic, offering Kwame lukewarm reassurance while secretly calculating the cost of her silence. She hadn't just married Kwame for stability, she married him for the shield of his respectable name, and she wouldn't let him lose it easily. The next afternoon, Jaden's name flashed on her phone. He spoke with the chilling politeness of a debt collector. "Aisha, I'm near your neighborhood. I need to deliver a sensitive document for Kwame regarding the project. Let's meet at the Artist Alliance Gallery Cafe." Alone. Cornered and terrified, she agreed. When she sat across from him, she was greeted not with rage, but with a horrifying calm. Jaden slid a high-resolution photograph of Oma onto the table. Circled in red was the faint crimson crescent above the girl's hip. "I'm not here to expose you to Kwame, yet," he whispered, leaning in. "But Oma is a Mensa. You will choose between Kwame's future and Oma's surname. Tell me what I want to know, and Kwame keeps his project. Keep lying, and I burn your whole life down." Aisha returned home, the weight of Jaden's threat paralyzing her. She watched Kwame scrolling through financial spreadsheets, his brow furrowed with genuine worry, and felt a cold resolve solidify. It wasn't love that mattered now, it was survival and the glittering future wealth Oma deserved. Kwame's respectability was merely a temporary shield, Jaden's limitless legacy was permanent. She made her decision, driven by calculating ambition rather than affection. She would sacrifice Kwame to secure her daughter's place as an heiress. That night, she waited until Kwame was asleep before using his secure tablet. Kwame, trusting her implicitly, had never changed the access codes. She found the digital files relating to the Accra Future City project structural framework. Jaden had mentioned bringing in an independent consultant, and Aisha knew exactly how to feed the right lie into that system. Over the next 2 days, while Kwame was desperately trying to lobby the review firm to expedite their process, Aisha worked in secret. She subtly altered a few lines in the early structural integrity reports, creating the illusion of major material flaws that Kwame, in his haste to meet the original deadlines, had supposedly overlooked. The flaws weren't just delays, they pointed to negligence, a career-ending mistake. This calculated sabotage was her currency. She used a burner phone to send a single, cryptic text to Jaden: "I have the documentation. Schedule the exchange. Kwame's negligence is confirmed." Her goal was clear: remove Kwame as the obstacle and step into the sunlit life Jaden offered Oma. Jaden smiled, a cold, predatory expression, as he read Aisha's text. Her compliance confirmed his power and the true, venal nature beneath her polished exterior. He immediately directed his hand-picked consultant, a sharp, discreet structural engineer, to begin the review of Kwame's documents, pointing them precisely toward the deliberately obscured files. The engineer, believing they were exposing genuine malpractice, flagged the manipulated reports within hours. The next morning, the board meeting was a slaughter. Kwame presented his revised timeline, sweat beading on his forehead. Jaden sat stone-faced as the consultant delivered her damning, technical findings, critical structural material deviations and fraudulent stress test results. Kwame leaped to his feet, denying the claims vehemently, his voice cracking. He demanded access to his original files, but the digital evidence, altered by Aisha, was indisputable. The betrayal was complete. I am deeply disappointed, Kwame, Jaden intoned, standing up to deliver the final blow. The Future City contract is terminated immediately. Your firm is liable for the full breach. Kwame stood frozen, his career and company collapsing around him. Jaden walked past him, placing a hand gently on his shoulder, a purely false gesture of sympathy. That evening, Omar's nanny received a substantial, anonymous bonus, and Jaden bought the plot of land directly adjacent to Kwame and Aisha's home. He wasn't just taking Omar, he was moving into their life, fully prepared to exploit the ruin Aisha had helped create. Jaden's new property construction began with aggressive speed, a constant, noisy reminder of Kwame's failure and Aisha's complicity. Kwame, drowning in legal threats and professional humiliation, grew withdrawn and bitter. He spent his days locked in his study, attempting futile damage control, barely registering Jaden's casual presence next door. The marriage became a silent, airless contract. Aisha found herself shuttling between two realities, maintaining the facade of a supportive wife, while secretly meeting Jaden to share updates on Omar. Jaden didn't press her for details anymore, he was there in person. He used the adjacent gardens as an excuse to stumble upon Omar during her playtime. He brought her small, expensive trinkets, a handcrafted wooden puzzle, a flawless ruby necklace disguised as a toy. Omar, sensing the unusual attention from the powerful, charming man next door, quickly grew fond of his visits. Jaden, seeing the bright intelligence and familiar gestures in the little girl, felt a possessive pride bloom. One afternoon, Jaden took Omar for ice cream in OSU. As Omar giggled, a smear of melted chocolate on her cheek, Jaden used his handkerchief to gently wipe it away. He noticed the familiar crimson crescent birthmark peek out from beneath her shirt collar. It was perfectly identical to his own, and a wave of pure, absolute certainty washed over him. This was not just leverage against Aisha, this was his daughter, and he was determined to claim her lineage, no matter the final cost to her mother. Jaden summoned Aisha to a private suite, a cold, formal setting for their transaction. He presented her with adoption and custody papers. The agreement established Omar's immediate paternity and an irrevocable, massive trust fund. The condition, stated explicitly in the document, was a quiet, uncontested divorce from the professionally ruined Kwame. Aisha, her heart thumping with greed and relief, scarcely glanced at the clauses. She was finally achieving her goal, Omar, the heiress, secure for life. She envisioned her future, no longer a struggling wife but the affluent mother of a billionaire's child. You did what you had to do, Jaden remarked, signing the papers with a flourish. His voice held no warmth, only a clinical finality. You sacrificed a good man, Kwame, who loved Omar like his own, all for this trust fund. The Crimson Crescent birthmark made it easy to convince me, didn't it? You knew I'd recognize my own familiar mark. Aisha felt a chill, but maintained her composure. I acted for my daughter's best interest, Jaden. It is the least you owe me for the secret I kept. He slid the signed documents towards her, his gaze sharp. You owe me, Aisha. Everything. Because I saw the original hospital record from 6 years ago. Amma is mine, yes, but the story you told about Kwame was a lie. He paused, his expression hardening. Amma's father is indeed me, but you've betrayed a deeper loyalty. Your first lover, the man you erased from the timeline, was my cousin, Kwame's late brother. I knew Amma was mine, but he was the one whose name you were truly hiding, and whose memory you sold. The color drained from Aisha's face. The revelation that Amma's father was not just Jaden, but the son of Jaden's late cousin, a man whose memory Aisha had exploited, shattered her confidence. She realized Jaden's goal was never the company, it was the Crimson Crescent, a badge of the family's lineage, and total emotional control over the child. The betrayal of her late lover was far greater than the deceit of Kwame. Jaden, having secured the signed adoption papers and trust fund, made his last move. He didn't want a messy custody battle, he wanted a clean, final separation. The following week, Kwame, emotionally ravaged by the loss of his business and the coldness of his wife, confronted Aisha. He found the signed documents Jaden had left behind, not just the adoption papers, but copies of Aisha's encrypted text to Jaden. The proof of a calculated, years-long deception was laid bare. As Kwame read them, the full weight of her greed and betrayal crushed him. He walked out of the house, not towards the city, but towards the coast, vanishing without a word. Jaden received the call a day later. Kwame was gone. Aisha was now utterly alone, rich but ruined. She rushed to Jaden's new estate, begging for compassion, promising to be his wife, his partner, anything to maintain a connection to her wealth and her daughter. Jaden met her gaze, his eyes colder than the Atlantic. Amma is a Silomi now. I own her future, and you have no place in it, nor in the family lineage you tried to hide behind. He had achieved his goal, possession. Amma remained in Ghana, under the sole care of Jaden's trusted staff, growing up in a golden cage, wealthy and loved by her father, yet eternally scarred by the devastating, untold truth of her mother's double betrayal and the heartbroken man she believed was her father who simply walked away.